everyone, it's Emily with No Nonsense Herbalism, and today I'm reviewing Herbal Medicine by Dian Dincin Buchman, something. But I completed this book before we moved to Arizona, so it took me a little while to get everything together for it, but I finally did. First of all, I wanted to say, overall, it's a good book. It's, worth the money it would take to buy it. It's worth a read. It's not a bad book. It's just, it has a lot of strangeness to it. I have notes down here, so forgive me looking down. But, first of all, it highly, highly discourages the use of dangerous herbs, which is all fine and good, especially for beginners. But my main issue with it is the fact that despite the discouragement of using herbs that are more dangerous unless you know how to use them, she names them in almost every condition that she advises on how to handle. Now, her favorite for this is peach pits, if I remember correctly. So, I don't understand why you would want to use stone fruit pits for anything other than maybe a liniment or something. But, just be advised, she does mention these herbs a lot, even though she does say that they are safe. So, for some reason, that strikes me as contradicting your own statements, but moving on, she does seem to mention, she has a set of herbs that she covers in this book. Peach pits, thyme, rosemary, the basics. And she pretty much does not veer from this list of herbs that she's going over for pretty much every single thing. Now, I understand that having a small repertoire of herbs is much more handleable, or rather, much more manageable when you're starting out. It just seemed a little strange that it's just like, rosemary, thyme, sage, rosemary, thyme, sage, rosemary, thyme, peach pits, sage, rosemary, thyme, peach pits, parsley. It's just, I may be wrong, but it just seemed somewhat repetitive in not exactly original as far as the way that she put forward her suggestions seemed like it just didn't exactly seem like there was very much effort put into it, but that might have just been my perspective. So, one thing I did notice about her is she tends to blend cautions in with her teachings in a way that gives you confidence that you understand what you're doing, and then takes some of it away, almost like, you can do this, but be careful. You can do this, but you might hurt someone. And after a while, it starts to make you feel a little bit like she questions your ability, even though it's a book, which can be kind of fourth wall breaking, I think is the term. It's not super bad, but it's present. And after a while, it does kind of make you wonder, like, why am I reading this? Clearly, she doesn't exactly trust her readers to remember the warnings she gave in the first chapter by the third chapter. So, that was a little bit of a difficulty for me in reading this book. It does have a decent amount of information for beginners, and a fairly sound apothecary's worth of different herbs that she covers. You can definitely handle a good 80 to 90% of most household issues, if you know how to use these herbs to the best of their abilities. Now, one, that is a very generous percentage, and two, that is given that you don't have things in the house that are like out of the ordinary, like autoimmune disease, asthma, allergies, that type of thing. I think she does cover hay fever, but this was also written in 1996, and I don't believe that there was as much of a epidemic of autoimmune disorders then as they are now, or maybe there was just less awareness. I don't know, but she covers, the basic cold, flu, scrapes, cuts, arthritis, sore throats, that type of thing. For intermediate or advanced herbal enthusiasts and aspiring herbalists, this is probably going to seem a little bit like, you know, a rehash of lesson one for you. It wasn't too bad for me because, everyone needs a refresher, but at the same time, if you've been at this and practicing for pretty much more than 3 years, you're gonna probably find this at least a little bit preschoolish, if you know what I mean. Lastly, the only other thing that I could find, that's even potentially slightly irritating about it is that it was written in 1996. It's written in that style. It's got a lot of... It's very dated, Not to say that it isn't valuable, but it does show its age. Now, I am not saying that I dislike this book. In fact, I would give it a solid 4 stars on Amazon or something if I was reviewing it there. But if you're a beginner, this is going to be pretty good for you. Just stay away from peach pits. If you are intermediate or advanced, this is going to seem really weird, probably. At least a little bit like, oh, I learned that in grade school type thing. One thing I also want to mention is, she has very good quality control standards in the book, but just the same, I got the feeling that she was just a little bit OCD, because the way that she put them forward almost seemed like she expected you to, sift through every bag of chamomile that you got to make sure there wasn't one smidgen of ragweed in it. Which, obviously that's where, it's important to source your ingredients properly. If you're wild crafting, know your plants, that type of thing. Obviously double check if you're drying yourself, maybe give it a once over if you're using it. But it just seemed a little bit like she was, I don't know, paranoid. Forgive me. But overall, I'd say that if you're new to newish, this book is definitely a great place to start. But if you're advanced, it kind of feels a little bit like a dime a dozen to me. Or maybe more like maybe a little less common than that. But it does seem like it repaints the same content that, you can find on a lot of other books that might have a little bit better grasp on giving you confidence without making you cocky, and taking you through herbs that can be more useful without giving you so much information about potentially harmful ones to make you avoid, using them, but also pitching them to you for you to use. It was a mixed bag for me, but I wouldn't recommend this for the baby beginners. This probably would seem a little bit overwhelming. Beginners, yes. Babies, newbies, oh, herbalist sounds cool. I think that you could probably find other books. I believe I reviewed a book called 20,000 Secrets of Tea by Victoria Zack a few years ago. I'll link that in the description, but I found that to be a much more welcoming entrance into the world of herbs. And from my perspective, I've been doing this for a while, So that was definitely more comforting to imagine myself, oh, this is an introduction versus this, which, seemed a little strange. I mean, I am not knocking the healing powers of lanolin as a salve base, but it's probably going to be easier for you to get oil and beeswax. And that's usually the recipe that people go by, especially with all of the, like, you have alpha gal, you have people with meat sensitivities, you have, vegans and vegetarians that don't want to use animal products, and using lanolin, which is essentially sheep sebum, which is sheep skin oil. It just seems kind of bizarre to me. Originally, when I started this book, I actually thought that this was written by somebody who was like some sort of like rural sheep farmer type person, maybe like a homesteader, or this was something written like by someone who lived in like Wales in like the 80s or something. It just didn't give me the impression that this person was a professional herbalist. And then I read the biography of the author, and it was just like, wow. I mean, it did say PhD on the front, so I don't think I connected the dots in the beginning. But as I said, you're welcome to try it. Even if you are a newbie herbalist, this probably isn't going to like harm your education. It just might seem kind of strange, and at worst it might make things down the road just a little bit hard to grasp because you've already got this alternative foundation going, but it's not like a super big deal. So 4 out of 5 stars from me. Not a bad buy. I would not pay more than $15 for it though. I hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications of when I post new videos. And I hope to see you again soon. Have a good one. Bye.